This video contains subject matter that may be offensive and disturbing to some people. If you are the type to require a warning throughout a video or show, let this message serve as your warning. This channel discusses the harsh reality of true crime. If this warning is not sufficient for you, consider a different genre and unsubscribe from my channel immediately.
What's going on, freaks? Hey, thanks, Mac. Not sure what the hell the deal is with this camera there. Maybe that. Yeah, man. That's. Wait, now it looks, is it blurry or? Can't tell if that like got blurry all of a sudden. How about that? I guess better. Who the hell knows? All right. Yeah, so I think it was somebody sent me an email today that was there was another YouTuber that went over the same article, but that's the same article that I had because that's the one that I was talking to Colleen about. And I was just going to go and read through this thing. It's crazy because it explains the issue perfectly, what's going on here with the DNA. I'm not sure what's going on with this camera. It's like it won't let me try this. Yeah, maybe just bend the monitor. There we go. So I thought we'd go over that and then sort of... I don't know what the deal is, man, but people... There's this huge movement about, like, Kohberger, he didn't do it, man. Either that or they're trying to... They're willing to put out a psycho killer to try to help him be free because of a technicality somewhere. I mean, I think that is crazy. You know what I mean? It's like, it's really weird. I mean, people talk. There's a clown out there that's literally talking about, look at how he smiles. That's a confident man. That's not a killer. Really, because Ted Bundy used to smile the same way. You remember that? I don't know what the hell these people are coming from. And they said it wasn't loops, everybody. It wasn't loops. It was passes. Right, but it's a loop too. Because he keeps going around and it leaves the area. They actually say that in the probable cause. Oh man. And now that same clown is starting to say, see this footage here? That one's really clear. And so that might show that it was him, but we don't know now. Well, that's exactly what I said on this show. So now he's trying to work it in to give him an out, give himself an out. Now just stick with what you're doing, man. Stick with the Kohberger is innocent and he's being framed and all this crap, because you wouldn't be talking about how a confident man smiling and he isn't like what everybody said. You're trying to make it seem like he's innocent, okay? And now, yes, he is innocent until proven guilty, but my opinion is, and that's all it is, based on the factual information that Bryan Kohberger is absolutely guilty. Okay, that's my opinion. It's right there in the probable cause document. Well, the probable cause document's bogus. Okay, well, if that's where we're going to start, then there's no debating with you. All right, let's see. By the way, do you guys get to check out that 360-degree camera is pretty cool. I used it a couple of years ago, and it's really amazing technology. And you can actually put these goggles on your face And, oh, cool, Zoe. You can put these goggles on your face and be standing around and you're as if you were there. So if you can find those cardboard boxes or whatever you call them, and then you connect it to your, you actually attach your phone to these goggles, and then when you're watching a 360-degree video, it allows you to select something on your cell phone where it goes to each eye, and then you're just standing there turning around, and it's as if you're right there. See? Yeah, and it's weird too because it doesn't have very many views. 7,000 views. It's that thing should have 400,000. I mean, it's like that's what everybody should be watching because they see it and go, "Oh, it makes sense now." But nobody wants that part. They want the shit that doesn't make really any sense at all, but it sure sounds great. Yeah. And if you guys would like to help support the channel, we didn't have a very good showing yet again on one of the DNA shows, and here we are doing a DNA show again. So if you'd like me to continue to be able to do these shows, gotta get to the goals, and that also allows us to do what we just discussed for an entire hour with Dr. Colleen Fitzpatrick regarding the 13 DNA cases that we're currently funding. All right. And I just say it like it is, if you don't. God, Gray, why are you always trying to get super chats? Because that is the only source of income on these live streams, everybody. That's it. And that's all I really normally just do is live streaming. All right. Which one of these should I do first? Don't see it. I have a feeling because of this manhunt, there's going to be maybe 100 people watching today. It's like everybody, ooh, the manhunt. Ooh, let me just stare at the screen for hours and be part of it. It's like, how much you want to bet that there won't be anybody on the scene filming the catch? Okay, they'll be able to see him when he comes being taken out of the woods, but that's it. I mean, you could go, I don't know, maybe at the end we'll play a press conference or something and see if we can mark off the area, but whatever, but I'm not, I don't know. I mean, it seems like everybody's really interested in it, but I hate it when there's cases that just drag and sort of suck the life out of anything else anybody wants to do. Yeah, I mean, you got people watching just garbage with 3,000 people just ooh, ooh. It's weird. Ah, geez, Cindy, that's sick. Disgusting, really. Let's see. Alright, so I'm going to get going on this. Yeah, it's breaking news every 3 seconds. Wow. Yeah, let's see. Here's the... Yeah, but you aren't one of the first people, Cindy, ever. So it's just better to just forget it. Be part of something better, It's like, who gives a shit? Alright, so this is an article called Biometric Update. The GEDmatch loophole, this is from August 23rd, allows the police to access user DNA without their consent. Right, so this is the first article. There's another one that really explains if you're confused about how this whole thing, you won't be on that one. This one says, on August 14th, DNA biometrics testing identified a body that was found on pilings in a Washington river a year ago, according to a release from the Cowlitz County Sheriff's Office. It was too decomposed to conduct facial recognition or take fingerprints. Welcome, Imagine. Investigators partnered with Othram, a forensic genetic genealogy lab in Texas, which was able to identify the brother of the unidentified body. The brother confirmed that a deceased man was 55-year-old Brian M. Heinrich Sr., based on a tattoo. While there was no foul play in the instance, the case raises questions about privacy concerns with the use of DNA databases of criminal investigations. By using a privacy loophole in GEDmatch's service, CeCe Moore, an actress and director turned genetic genealogist, worked with law enforcement agencies to use privately held DNA databases to help identify unknown human remains or perpetrators who left DNA at a crime scene, according to the Intercept. A representative, and that's the other article, a representative of Moore told Biometric Update in an email that the Intercept article contains inaccurate information and misrepresentations. Police and the genealogists working with them can access the loophole by manipulating search fields within a DNA comparison tool to show profiles of individuals who explicitly opted out of sharing their information with police. Records of communications reveal that Moore, along with two other forensic genealogists, discuss how to trigger the loophole. One of the other genealogists mentioned hiding that her organization made an identification using an opted-out profile in separate communications. So apparently, that's what they're claiming about CeCe Moore here, that she was able to make an identification using an opted-out person using the loophole. Yeah. So anyways, then they talk about the Golden State. Let me go to the actual article that really kind of explains it. This is the Intercept.com here. So this one's longer, but I think it's worth going through here. But man, what a horrendous start of the show, you guys. Here we go. CeCe Moore, an actress and director turned genetic genealogist, stood behind a lectern at New Jersey Ramapo College in late July, propelled onto the national stage by the popular PBS show Finding Your Roots. Moore was delivering the keynote address for the inaugural Conference of Forensic Genetic Genealogists at Ramapo, one of only two institutions of higher education in the U.S. that offer instruction in the field. It was a new era, Moore told the audience, a turning point for solving crime, and they were in on the ground floor. We've created this tool that can accomplish so much, she said. And by the way, here's what would solve all these problems here. What would solve all the problems is if people... we're already collecting prisoners' DNA for GEDmatch. All they would have to do is approve the funding, and it would only be like $60 a person to upload the same individual's DNA to GEDmatch and also to family tree DNA, etc. Every single prisoner should be uploaded to GEDmatch and CODIS. And maybe get rid of CODIS at some point. Just use GEDmatch. Or, DNA sequencing. But that's what would solve it all. You would have all the millions of criminals with a much wider diversity of population all around the country, and every race and ethnic background. And every year you would add thousands and thousands more to it, and that would be for law enforcement use only. But they also have access to the people who opted in from the public side. And then you would have an incredible database. Thank you, Tito. Hello? Does that make sense? Anybody? Anybody out there at all? Anybody? Anybody out there at all? Right. So that, I think that's where the things need to be changed. I talked to Dr. Colleen Fitzpatrick about it, and she totally agrees and thinks it's going to happen at some point. And I've been saying this for, God, I don't know, 2 years now at least. It's the only thing that makes total sense to me. I mean, my God, I don't know what's going on here. With why isn't that just immediately? And by the way, they've already deemed the ethical question about convicts' DNA has been answered already. It's been answered. Okay? They took it for CODIS. So now upload it into there, and we'll be able to use it to build family trees to identify other criminals. Hey, thank you so much, Eugenie. Yeah, I'm going to make another video coming up, probably another, the 4 passes, but using my footage as the looping. I think it'll be sweet, Yeah, I mean, I donate over 50% of the net revenue, and the only way that happens, Jane, is if on a nightly basis, all the freaks take care of the show, like Eugenie, right there, and Mag earlier, etc. Yeah, I mean, when you the weird part about when you take these trips, like you go to Idaho and stuff like that, like a lot of times people send in more super chats and whatnot, but you sort of don't really make more because the cost of the trip costs a lot. Like driving that far, I think was, I don't know, $200, and then hotels 100 and something, and you eat food, and you're already you're spending $400, and the increase in super chats and income on the channel doesn't go up that much. So it's sort of like this opportunity cost, they call it. It's an interesting dynamic. Yeah, well, if you watched the previous show a few minutes ago, we had Dr. Colleen Fitzpatrick on, and we talked about the 13 cases that we're currently funding. Or we've already, some of them are done and solved, but there's a whole bunch. We have like 6 total that are almost finished. Or I guess 4 or 5 are completely finished, and there's one that's 2 of them that are kind of getting closer to being finished. Yeah. So anyways, in here it talks about genealogists like more hunt for relatives. So just really try to focus in on this stuff here. So genealogists like more hunt for relatives and build family trees just as traditional genealogists do, but with a twist. They work with law enforcement agencies to use commercial DNA databases to search for people who can help them identify unknown human remains or perpetrators who left DNA at a crime scene. The field exploded in 2018 after the arrest of Joseph James D'Angelo. He was the Golden State Killer, but before that he was the East Area Rapist and the original Night Stalker. As notorious Golden State Killer, responsible for more than a dozen murders across California, and way more rapes than that. DNA evidence collected from a 1980 double murder was analyzed and uploaded to a commercial database. A hit to a distant relative helped a genetic genealogist build an elaborate family tree that ultimately coalesced on D'Angelo. Since then, hundreds of cold cases have been solved using the technique. Moore, among the field's biggest evangelists, boast of having personally helped close more than 200. The practice is not without controversy. It involves combing through the genetic information of hundreds of thousands of innocent people in search of a perpetrator, as its practitioners operate without meaningful guardrails, safe for interim guidance published by published by the Department of Justice in 2019. So they actually, the Department of Justice published some guidelines. And they're supposed, people skirt the guidelines to get the results, right? The last 5 years have been like the Wild West, more acknowledged, but she was proud to be among the founding members of the Investigative Genetic Genealogy Accreditation Board, which is developing professional standards for practitioners. With this incredibly powerful tool comes immense responsibility, she solemnly told the audience. The practice relies on public trust to convince people not only to upload their private genetic information to commercial databases, but also to allow police to rifle through that information. If you're doing something you wouldn't want blasted on the front page of the New York Times, Moore said, you should probably rethink what you're doing. If we lose the public trust, we'll lose this tool. Yeah, I mean, what a horrendous thing that would be to ban forensic genetic genealogy. Not only for identifying Jane and John Does, but for taking murderers off the streets. Despite those words of caution, Moore is one of several high-profile genetic genealogists who exploited a loophole in a commercial database called GEDmatch. Well, GEDmatch is also free, but I think you can pay for it to get access a little bit more information, allowing them to research the DNA of individuals who explicitly opted out of sharing their genetic information with police. But I was talking to, I was told that for 3 years that loophole's been gone, so I'm not sure what it has to do with Kohberger. That particular loophole through GEDmatch. There's others, though. So there was a loophole in a commercial database called GEDmatch, allowing them to search the DNA of individuals who explicitly opted out of sharing their genetic information with police. The loophole, which a source demonstrated for The Intercept, allows genealogists, so here's the loophole, working with police to manipulate search fields within a DNA comparison tool to trick the system into showing opted out profiles. In records of communications reviewed by The Intercept, Moore and 2 other forensic genetic genealogists discussed the loophole and how to trigger it. In a separate communication, one of the genealogists, I wonder how they got these communications, described hiding the fact that her organization had made an identification using an opted out profile. See? So there's some kind of, you're in the search fields and you type something in and it allows you to see people, matches that had opted out somehow. So there must have been something in the programming didn't work, but I think that loophole in GEDmatch is gone now. The communications are a disturbing example of how genetic genealogists and their law enforcement partners, in their zeal to close criminal cases, skirt privacy rules, but put in place by DNA databases or the companies and to protect the customers. How common these practices are remains unknown, in part because police and prosecutors have fought to keep details of genetic investigation from being turned over to criminal defendants. See, I actually think that's kind of how it should be, because if you turn that over, then you have all these names of people, and then the defense is going to spend all this time trying to get a hold of the relative. All you have to do is, when it's all said and done, the DNA matched, okay? The DNA from the suspect DNA matched the final product, which is, in this case, Bryan Kohberger's DNA. After swabbing him, they compared it to the knife sheath sample, and it was a match. Hey, thanks, Don G. Yeah. Let's see. As commercial DNA databases grow and the use of forensic genetic genealogy as a crime-fighting tool expands, experts say the genetic privacy of millions of Americans is in jeopardy. Moore did not respond to the Intercept's request. That's why I'm telling you guys that the prison DNA upload is really the answer to everything, where criminals have to upload because they're already doing it. Nobody has a problem with that. It's the sort of public, people are just putting their DNA and, trying to see what their ancestries and their roots are, and then somehow on some site their DNA gets exposed to the law enforcement tools, and they're innocent, but at the same time, that's not what they asked for. So that's why if you do just like CODIS, put prisoners in there, who cares at that point? And over the years, it'll just get huge. I bet you over a 10-year period, there's 15 or 20 million people in prison or something. I don't know if it's that big, but I'm sure it's a big number. The communications are a disturbing example of how genetic genealogists and their law enforcement partners, in their zeal to close... Yeah, so we already went over that part. So where were we right here? It is commercial... I'll just read that part again. As commercial DNA databases grow and the use of forensic genetic genealogy as a crime-fighting tool expands, experts say the genetic privacy of millions of Americans is in jeopardy. Well, there you go. Make it the criminals, and then they're already giving in the CODIS, and nobody cares. Moore did not respond to the Intercept's request for comment. To Tiffany Roy, a DNA expert and lawyer, the fact that genetic genealogists have accessed private profiles while simultaneously preaching about ethics is troubling. If we can't trust these practitioners, we certainly cannot trust law enforcement, she said. These investigations have serious consequences. They involve people who have never been suspected of a crime. At the very least, law enforcement actors should have warrant to conduct a genetic genealogy search, she said. Anything less is a serious violation of privacy. Maybe that's something that could be addressed too. Is some of these databases, like I think it's which one is that one? MyHeritage. If they have a warrant, then you can upload it on there. And it seems like maybe judges could be a little bit more, certain processes in place where it makes a warrant not too difficult to get in a case, I guess with specific criteria in different cases, I guess. Companies like 23andMe and Ancestry offer DNA analysis. Let's see. Okay, forensic genetic genealogy evolved from the direct-to-consumer DNA testing craze that took hold roughly a decade ago. Companies like 23andMe and Ancestry offered DNA analysis and a database where results could be uploaded and searched against millions of other profiles, offering consumers a powerful new tool to dig into their heritage through genetics. It wasn't long before... hold on a second. It wasn't long before entrepreneurial genealogists realized the information could also be used to solve criminal cases, especially those that had gone cold. While the arrest of the Golden State Killer captured national attention, it was not the first case solved by forensic genetic genealogy. 2 weeks earlier, genetic genealogists Margaret Press and Colleen Fitzpatrick joined officials in Ohio to announce that groundbreaking work had allowed authorities to identify a young woman whose body was found by the side of the road back in 1981, formerly known as Buckskin Girl. For the handmade pullover she wore, Marcia King was given her name back through genetic genealogy. Everyone said it couldn't be done, Margaret Press said. The type of consumer DNA information used in forensic genetic genealogy is far different from the uploaded to the Combined DNA Index System, or CODIS, a decades-old network administered by FBI. By the FBI. The DNA entered in CODIS comes from individuals convicted of, well, here we go. I mean, I didn't even know this was in the article, or arrested for serious crimes, and is often referred to as junk DNA. Short pieces of unique genetic code that don't carry any individual health or trait information. It's not telling us how the person looks. It is not telling us about their heritage or their phenotype traits, Roy said. It's a string of numbers like a telephone number. In contrast, the DNA testing offered by direct-to-consumer companies is as sensitive as it gets, Roy said. It tells you about your origins. It tells you about your relatives and your percentage, and it tells you about your disease propensity, and it has serious reach, while CODIS searches the DNA of people already identified by the criminal justice system. See, that's why I'm saying put their DNA into the database. The commercial database have the potential to search through the DNA of everyone else. So it says, while CODIS searches the DNA of people already identified by the criminal justice system, the commercial databases have the potential to search through the DNA of everyone else. And the cool thing is you don't have to be in one of the services to be part of the tree, because there's obituaries and newspaper articles and all kinds of different things that allow genetic genealogists to piece together the other names that might be missing. But you guys, look at that. What time is it? 33 minutes and 56 seconds in? Yeah. Why is this a problem to people all of a sudden? I think it's just because there's these really high profile cases that they're trying to make a big deal out of it. I mean, is this confusing at all, what we've been reading so far? Is anybody just still confused here? Because this right here is really basically explained. It's not really difficult. Anybody? I mean, this is just basically, it's just saying that there's a loophole in there that allowed, because GEDmatch allows you to upload your raw data. And then you used to be that everybody was opted in, but then they changed it to opted out. Then you had to opt back into law enforcement use. So some people on there weren't opted in, and there was like a loophole. If you click here, type this and that and the other thing, and then it would pop up with, it would populate relatives that were not on the law enforcement only list. About what? What's confusing about it? I didn't say she... How do you know she's confused? Right, but just forget the case that it's about. Any of the stuff, just Junie. Just listen to what is being said instead of trying to... Oh, how does it affect Kohberger? Like right away. It's just... that's how people get lost, just focus on what's being said and refer to any case out there. I don't know what you're talking about, another old GHI freak. I don't know what you mean. Why not cover just Juno's? I don't even know what you're talking. I didn't read her questions. Why not you just do your own thing? Another old GHI freak. Thanks, SSP-134, Georgia. Yes, everybody, we're trying to reach that goal tonight. We do have only 240 people watching, but if you're out there and you can afford it, I don't want anybody sending in super chats if you're broke or anything like that. But if you can, that'd be absolutely fantastic. I know we're not, out there covering the fugitive like every other Tom, Dick, and Harry are, and we're not going to be the first to know when he's caught. Although I bet you within 15 minutes, somebody will come and, hey, they caught the fugitive, and we'll all know about the same time as everybody else. All right. Now, individuals can upload their test results. So here it is, everybody. When you spit into the little vial thing and you send it off to 23andMe or Ancestry, they put your profile up there, and you have your test results on there, and then you get downloaded you can download a raw file from 23andMe and Ancestry, and it comes in a zip file. I don't know if that's exactly what they're going to be talking about next. Oh, look at that. Another old GHI freak threw me in prison. I guess we're now stuck. I should put you guys in jail, though. I mean, you're the ones that need to be in prison. I don't know what you're saying, another old GHI freak. No idea. But we're now stuck, languishing after another old... I guess I'm going to have to upload my DNA to CODIS and then to GEDmatch. I'm supposed to ask the question nicely. Don't know what that means. Well, it's going to be a long night tonight. Just Junie bought a Snickers bar in the cantina. Something maybe to be bartered. Well, I'm going to go take a nap. Let me know when we get bailed out. Oh, no bail. Now I'm -7. That's not good. Yeah, we're just talking about generic cases right now, Sherry. We don't need to talk about Kohberger.
Chewbacca?
Yep, -7 with the no bail.
I speak in riddles.
How unfortunate.
No bail.
Yeah. So send me a text message when I'm out of here. Must be the topic isn't very interesting to people. All right, -3 now. -3. Yeah, when I get put into jail, people have to bail me out, Kirsten. That's just how it is. It helps raise the funds on the channel because that's what allows us to do what we just did on the last show. It just sucks that some nights you have to kind of keep explaining it over and over and over again. All right. So this is one of those nights where I got thrown in prison by one of the freaks, and now to get out, to get back to the show, I've got to be bailed out. So yes, that's the answer. I think you probably knew that, but you're trying to... Google points? I don't know. Yeah, everybody... Let's see. Well, Mag got, I was -3, so that got me out of the jail cell and into the parking lot. Thanks, Mag, for the bail and some Reese's. I definitely need some Reese's, I know that. Those are always good. Is that the one I was on? No, this one. Yeah, only Reese's. But I like Snickers, though. You know. I bought the Snickers with just Junie's super chat. So, anyways, thank you guys. Got bailed out. Wasn't an overwhelming bit of support for it. I noticed that. But all right. Anyways, so let me do this part again. So it says individuals can upload their test results to any number of databases. At present, there are 5 main commercial portals. Ancestry and 23andMe are the biggest players in the field, with databases containing roughly 23 million and 14 million profiles. Individuals must test with the companies to gain access to their databases. Hey, thanks, another old GHI freak. So it says, individuals must test with the companies to gain access to their databases. Neither allow DNA results obtained from a different testing service. Let's see, let me read that again. Individuals must test with the companies to gain access to their databases. Neither allowed... Okay, that's what it's saying. Individuals must test with the companies to gain access to their databases. Neither... I think I would put it like a comma. Anyways, it says, neither allow DNA results obtained from a different testing service. All right. So that's exactly what I've been telling you guys on here. Hey, thanks, Travelcado. Is 23andMe and Ancestry.com do not allow you to upload raw data from, like, for example, 23andMe doesn't allow you to upload Ancestry raw data to 23andMe, or vice versa. They don't allow you to do it. So you can't take a profile that was created somewhere else, take the raw data, and then upload it from, let's say you downloaded from Ancestry.com, your own personal profile, and then you created a profile on 23andMe, and you just want to upload your raw data. They don't allow you to do it, because they want you to be their customer too, right? So it says individuals must test with the companies to gain access to their databases. Neither allow DNA results obtained from a different testing service. Both Ancestry and 23andMe forbid police and the genetic genealogists to work with them. And as far as we know, they haven't used those ones. Both Ancestry and 23andMe forbid police and the genetic genealogists to work with them from accessing their data for crime-fighting purposes. We do not allow law enforcement to use Ancestry service to investigate crimes or to identify human remains. Absent a valid court order, Ancestry's privacy policy notes. So that's what it says. So I guess if it had a court order, it might do it. So the two companies provide regular transparency reports documenting law enforcement requests for users' information. Now here's where there's something different. This is where one of those different sort of, where there's an issue. MyHeritage is another DNA website. Just like Ancestry and 23andMe, they have 7 million DNA profiles. Similarly, and they also similarly bar law enforcement searches, but it does allow individuals to upload DNA results obtained from other sources. So if you're on MyHeritage, you can take your raw data from 23andMe or Ancestry or a GEDmatch kit, for example, and upload it to MyHeritage. You see, now we're in a different ballgame now. So they just merely say, we don't allow you to use this for law enforcement use. However, you could take the same thing that we used to find Daniel Armentrout. you could do something like that. Like, you could take any DNA kit that you would upload. I guess it's the bioinformatics software that creates the kit. I don't know if I explained, for most of you I explained that to you, but bioinformatics creates a raw file that's similar to what's downloaded from Ancestry or 23andMe and allows you to upload it to GEDmatch. And that's just using a DNA sequence without somebody having to spit into it. Because when you find bones, there's nobody there to spit anymore, right? So you got to have a different way to upload it to GEDmatch. So you could take that profile and upload it to MyHeritage. Okay, and that's where this organization's different. And it says, and then there are Family Tree DNA and GEDmatch. See, those are the two databases where you upload raw data and therefore public use and people have to opt in and out, which grant police access but give users the choice of opting in or out. See, there you go. And then there's Family Tree DNA and GEDmatch, which grant police access but gives users the choice of opting in or out. Both allow anyone to upload their DNA results and have upward of 1.8 million profiles, but that's way less, right? But neither company routinely publicizes the number of customers who have opted in, said Leah Larkin, a veteran genetic genealogist and privacy advocate from California. Larkin writes about issues in the field, including forensic genetic genealogy, which she does not practice. On her website, The DNA Geek, that's where she does that. Larkin estimates that roughly 700,000 GEDmatch profiles are opted in. And that sucks because before there was over 1 million like 6 years ago until, listen to how stupid this is, you guys. So on the guidelines of GEDmatch, it said that you're able to use the, for law enforcement use, everybody was opted in. You could use it for law enforcement if it was a sexual assault, like a rape, or a murder, or unidentified person. However, somebody used it for a violent assault on a female, and it identified somebody, and they went, oh, wow, we got to opt everybody out. And then everybody had to, on their own free will, because think of how crazy this is. Everybody was opted in automatically. That was the default. Then they opted everybody out, and people had to go back in and say, oh, do I want to opt into this? So it's taken all these years to get back to 700,000, which isn't anywhere even near the million. They probably would have had 2 million in here by now if they allowed it to be, if it was still the default being law enforcement use only. I think it should still be the default. But you'd say right here, this is for law enforcement use only. If you don't want them to use it, click here. Yeah. Anyways, it's just it was so stupid. Couldn't believe it. Anyway, so Larkin estimates that roughly 700,000 GEDmatch profiles are opted in. She suspected that even more are opted in on Family Tree DNA. Opting in is the default. See, here's the thing. On Family Tree DNA, it is exactly how GEDmatch used to be. They have everybody opt in as the default. It's not obvious how to opt out. So they make it where Family Tree DNA makes it difficult to opt out, even though it's defaulted as opting in. So it's hard to find, like, oh, where do I opt out of this? So they're trying to help a little bit more, I guess you could say. But even opting out of law enforcement searches doesn't guarantee that a profile won't be accessed. A loophole in GEDmatch offers users working with law enforcement agencies a backdoor to access, a loophole in GEDmatch offers users working with law enforcement agencies a backdoor to accessing protected profiles. A source showed The Intercept, so I guess maybe that's still going on. A source showed The Intercept how to exploit the loophole. It was not an obvious weakness or one that could be triggered mistakenly. Rather, it was a backdoor that required experience with the platform's various tools to open. GEDmatch parent company Verigen did not respond to requests for comment. In forensic genetic genealogy circles, the GEDmatch loophole had long been an open secret, sources told The Intercept. Yeah, I mean, so everybody knew about this thing. Roy, the DNA expert, was given, in forensic genetic genealogy circles, the GEDmatch loophole had long been an open secret, sources told The Intercept. Like, everybody knew about this thing. And that finally surfaced publicly during the Ramapo College conference in late July. Roy, the DNA expert, was giving a presentation titled "In the Hot Seat," a primer for genealogists on what to expect if called to testify in a criminal case. There was a clear and simple theme: do not lie, Roy said. The minute you're caught in a lie is the minute that is going to be difficult for people to use your work. Yeah. Got some crazy stuff going on in the background there. Let's see. The minute you're caught in a lie is the minute that it's going to be difficult for people to use your work. As part of this session, David Gurney, a professor of law and society at Ramapo and director of the college NASA Investigative Genetic Genealogy Center, joined Roy for a mock questioning of Karen Binder, a genealogist who heads up the center's certificate program. Gurney, simulating direct examination, walked Binder through a series of friendly questions. Did you have access to DNA evidence or genetic code during her investigation? No, she replied. Could she see everyone who uploaded DNA to the databases? No, she said. Only those who opted in to law enforcement searches. Roy, playing part of opposing counsel, was pointed in her cross-examination. Was Binder aware of the GEDmatch loophole, and had she used it? Yes, Binder said. How many times? Roy asked. A handful, Binder replied. Maybe up to a dozen. Binder's answers quickly made their way into a private Facebook group for genetic genealogy enthusiasts, prompting a response from the DNA Doe Project, a volunteer-driven organization led by Margaret Press, one of the women who identified the buckskin girl. Before joining Ramapo College, Binder had worked for a DNA Doe Project. This is sort of like telling you how this all just sort of came crashing down right here. In a statement posted to the Facebook group, Pam Lordizin, the project's communications director, said the loophole was an artifact of changes GEDmatch implemented in 2019 when it made opting out the default for all profiles. See, that was in 2019, so I guess that was about 4 years ago. So it made opting out the default. While we knew that the intent of the change was to make opted out users unavailable, some volunteers with the DNA Doe Project continued to use the reports that allowed access to profiles that were opted out, she wrote. That use was neither encouraged nor discouraged. It was sort of this, wink, wink, She continued. Still, she claimed the access was somehow in compliance with GEDmatch's terms of service, which at the time promised that DNA uploaded for law enforcement purposes would only be matched with customers who opted in, and that the loophole was closed years ago. So I guess it's still there then. It was a curious statement, particularly given that Press, the group's co-founder, was among the genealogists who discussed the GEDmatch loophole in communications reviewed by The Intercept. In 2020, she described the DNA Doe Project using an opted-out profile to make an identification and devising a way to keep that quiet. So look at that. In 2020, she described the DNA Dove project using an opted-out profile to make an identification. So that means through the loophole, they made an identification and they said, let's keep that quiet. Press referred The Intercept's question to the DNA Dove project, which declined to comment. In July 2020, GEDmatch was hacked, which resulted in all 1.45 million profiles then contained in the database to be briefly opted in. So, wow, who did that? I mean, was that like a FBI, CIA hacker that wanted to have access to everybody, so quickly opted everybody in? I mean, what a weird hack that was, right? In July of 2020, GEDmatch was hacked, which resulted in all 1.45 million profiles then contained in the database to be briefly opted in to law enforcement matching. At the time, BuzzFeed News reported just 280,000 profiles had opted in. See, that's when that's how little people had opted back in after they had everybody opted out in 2019. GEDmatch was taken offline until such time that we can absolutely be sure that the user data is protected against potential attacks, Virgin wrote on Facebook. In the wake of the hack, a genetic genealogist named Joan Hanlon, I've actually talked to her, was asked by Virgin to beta test a new version of the site. According to records of a conversation reviewed by The Intercept, Preston Moore, the featured speaker at the Ramapo conference, discussed with Hanlon their tricks to access opted-out profiles and whether the new website had plugged all the backdoor access. It hadn't. It's unclear if anyone told Virgin. As of this month, the back door was still open. Hanlon did not respond to The Intercept's request for comment. In January 2021, GEDmatch changed its terms of service to opt everyone in for searches involving... So here's what GEDmatch has done recently. They've opted every single profile in for searches involving unidentified human remains. So that really helps for a lot of the stuff that we do here, making the backdoor irrelevant for genealogists who only worked on Doe cases, but not those working with authorities to identify perpetrators of violent crimes. So that's pretty crazy right there, right? How's this going? You guys, this makes sense to everybody? I know I'm reading, so we're in one of these modes right here, this one. Okay. Undisclosed methods. Exploitation of the GEDmatch loophole isn't the only example of genetic genealogists and their law enforcement partners playing fast and loose with the rules. Law enforcement officers have used genetic genealogy to solve crimes that aren't eligible for genetic investigation per company terms of service and Justice Department guidelines, which say the practice should be reserved for violent crimes like rape and murder only when all other reasonable avenues of investigation have failed. Yeah, I get it, but I mean, you know. FGG is so powerful that it's kind of a waste of time to sit there and... Like, if you have somebody's semen, why wouldn't you just go straight to FGG immediately? Or a blood sample that doesn't match the victim or something. Let's see. In May, CNN reported on a U.S. Marshal who used genetic genealogy to solve a decades-old prison break in Nebraska. There is no prison break exception to the eligibility rules, Larkin noted in a post on her website. This case should this case should never have used forensic genetic genealogy in the first place. A month later, Larkin wrote about another violation, this time in California case. The FBI and the Riverside County Regional Cold Case Homicide Team had identified the victim of a 1996 homicide using the MyHeritage database. That has 7 million people in it. and everybody's what is it? So MyHeritage is, how does that work? Oh yeah, they allow you to upload a like the raw data file to their website from anywhere. So you could take the raw data file that's used in, like for example, in the Kohberger case, you could take the profile that they got off the sheath and upload it to MyHeritage, having access to 7 million people, and you just don't have to, you just pretend that you're just a regular, client of some sort. Thanks, Nicole B. This FBI and Riverside County Regional Cold Case Homicide Team had identified... Okay, a month later, Larkin wrote about another violation. This time in a California case, the FBI and the Riverside County Regional Cold Case Homicide Team had identified the victim of a 1996 homicide using the MyHeritage database, an explicit violation of the company terms of service, which makes clear that using the database for law enforcement purposes is strictly prohibited. So, MyHeritage, like 23andMe and Ancestry, do not allow law enforcement use. However, they created their own loophole by allowing somebody to upload raw data directly to their site, and you wouldn't know where the client came from.
Every dollar counts, right?
Does that make sense?
To that goal.
Let's see. Which makes clear that using the database for law enforcement purposes is strictly prohibited, absent a court order. So if there was a court order, they could use it for that. The case represents an example of noble cause bias, Larkin wrote, in which the investigators seem to feel that their objective is so worthy that they can break the rules in place to protect others. I think it's also a time thing. For example, if you had to use GEDmatch and it's 700,000 people and you have this ongoing psycho on the loose, and it might take you months to use the traditional database technique, but if you had access to a larger number of people, another reason to put all criminals into GEDmatch, not just for CODIS purposes, then you'd have millions in there. Well, you could just have. How come your name switched there, Juniper? I don't understand how you all of a sudden it just switched. Violations have even come from inside the DNA testing company. Okay, MyHeritage did not respond to a request for comment. The Riverside County Sheriff's Office referred questions to the Riverside District Attorney's Office, which declined to comment on an ongoing investigation. The FBI also declined to comment. Violations have come from inside the DNA testing companies. Back in 2019, GEDmatch co-founder Curtis Rogers unilaterally made an exception. Here it is. This is the thing I was telling you about. He made an exception to the terms of service without notifying the site's users to allow police to search for someone suspected of assault in Utah. It was a tough call, Rogers told BuzzFeed News, but the case in question was as close to a homicide as you can get. It appears that violation have also appeared to Ancestry, which prohibits... It appears that violations have also spread to Ancestry, which prohibits the use of DNA data for law enforcement purposes unless the company is legally compelled to provide access. Genetic genealogists told The Intercept that they are aware of examples in which genealogists working with police have provided Ancestry DNA testing kits to the possible relatives of suspects. Oh, I see. What's known as target testing, or asked customers for access to pre-existing accounts as a way to unlock the off-limits data. Oh, interesting. Yeah, that's pretty. So I could see that, like how that would work. A spokesperson for Ancestry did not answer The Intercept's question about efforts to unlock DNA data for law enforcement purposes via a third party. Instead, in a statement, the company reiterated its commitment to maintaining the privacy of its users, protecting our customers' privacy, and being good stewards of their data is Ancestry's highest priority, it read. The company did not respond to follow-up questions. As it turns out, the genetic genealogy work in the Golden State Killer case was also questionable. The break that led to D'Angelo came after genealogist Barbara Ray Venter uploaded DNA from the double murder to MyHeritage. See, that's the one with 7 million. According to the Los Angeles Times, Ray Venter told the Times that she didn't notify the company about what she was doing, but that her actions were approved by Steve Kramer, the FBI Los Angeles Division counsel at the time. Gee. Well, who cares what his approval is? You know, that has nothing to do with the company, right? In his opinion, law enforcement is entitled to go where the public goes, Ray Venter told the paper. Oh, whatever the hell that means. Jeez. Just how prevalent these practices are may never fully be known, in part because police and prosecutors regularly seek to shield genetic investigations from being vetted in court. They argue that what they obtain from forensic genetic genealogy is merely a tip, like information provided by an informant, and is exempt from disclosure to criminal defendants. Right, so they don't want to share how they derive the information. Thank you, Mecky Techie, and yes, you too out there, if you feel like you want to help support the Grant Hughes Investigates channel after this long week we've been having here, that would be absolutely fantastic. So they don't think that they should have to disclose the work product that led to the criminal, because it's like an informant, and you don't have to mention that. I mean, I think it is sort of similar in a way, because the informant tells you something, and then it leads to somebody, and then you prove that that was that person, and then it's like, well, why does it really matter that much? I mean, you don't want to start going down slippery slopes where people are, the ends justify the means all the time, right? Hey, thank you so much, Lisa L. Boom. There we go. On the move. Man, so isn't this an interesting article, though? Because it really kind of tells you what the problem is here. Hold on a second. Here, just say I'll be back just a second. Did you guys hear the Did it do the cat eye music? I was waiting to hear it. I didn't hear it. Da-na-na-na-na-na-na. Alright, where is it? Just how prevalent the practices are may never fully be known, in part because police and prosecutors regularly seek to shield genetic investigations from being vetted in court. They argue that what they obtain from forensic genetic genealogy is merely a tip, like information provided by an informant, and is exempt from disclosure to criminal defendants. And so, you know what's weird is it's kind of true, though, right? Because here's the thing, is we did forensic genetic genealogy, and it came up with this person's name. Then we took a swab, and it matched the sample found at the crime scene. Okay, so then, I mean, it's sort of weird, too, because then, but, I mean, why is, if there's rules and shit like that, should you be able to break them? But it for me, it's more just sort of an ethical thing, not a legal thing. It shouldn't, this shouldn't affect, like what would happen in court. Like you don't get to say, oh, this is fruit from a forbidden tree now, because they weren't supposed to be able to use my heritage, but somehow the FBI used them to get Kohberger's name quicker, and they went out there and they arrested him, but they shouldn't have been able to do that. So then that means that the warrant to arrest Kohberger was invalid because the DNA shouldn't have been able to be retrieved from that. And it's sort of like when somebody says, I want to speak to a lawyer, and then after that, everybody, all the questions after that are, you know, things that shouldn't have been asked or answered after the lawyer was asked for. Those are all thrown out, and the stuff that was derived from that can't be used either. So that's what I think the defense is trying to do. Huh? I don't think it's violating any none of Kohberger's rights have been violated whatsoever. Yeah. So anyways, it says right here, that's exactly what's happening in Idaho, where Bryan Kohberger is waiting trial for the 2022 murder of 4 university students. For months, the state failed to disclose that it had used forensic genetic genealogy. You know what's weird is, if any of you were watching this channel, when there was just a person on the loose missing, I had Misty Gillis on, and I said, or actually even before that, but when she was on, I specifically said, don't you think they should deploy rapid genetic genealogy in cases like this? And I even asked her, how long do you think it would take to get a sample if there was, all obstacles were blocked, everybody cleared their books, and it was like 2 days, boom, uploaded to GEDmatch, and then boom, 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 and at first we thought that is what happened. At first we thought, oh yeah, that's what they did, and then they started talking about, no, well, they just collected trash. They thought he was a suspect, collected trash from his father, and it sort of went away, but then the reality came in is that it's exactly what they did, and that's why out of all the suspects they had that drove specific Elantras in Idaho and, or, you know, Washington or Idaho, in those 2 small towns there, his name came right up as the main suspect as soon as the DNA that they found on the knife sheath led right to Bryan Kohberger, right? So it says, for months, the state failed to disclose that it had used forensic genetic genealogy to identify Kohberger as a suspect. A probable cause statement methodically laying out the evidence that led cops to his door conspicuously omitted any mention of genetic genealogy. Kohberger's defense team has asked to see documents related to the genealogy work as it prepares for an October trial. Yeah, so what's interesting is the probable cause document is basically filled with, it's almost like kind of an after, see, this is probably how it worked, is like this. They tested the DNA, quickly got a match, and then they started building a case. Oh my God, look at this. And they got his phone records, all that stuff. They got all the stuff from the CAS system, put it all together, and they got their guy. And then they finally, they tested they knew who they were looking for because the DNA led to Bryan Kohberger. So then once they put the whole case together, because that's how you do it, everybody. This is the order that this would be. Oh, we think it's Bryan Kohberger. Then they're like, well, let's verify that it could be him. And oh my God, this is where he lives. He drives a white Elantra. He has all these things. Let's get the CAS system. Oh my God, he was in the area 11 times. His phone even pinged just south of Moscow 25 minutes after the murders. And then the car traveled around. Then the next, later in the day, he goes down to Clarkston, Washington, where the same suspect vehicle, his phone, and his physical being are seen at Albertson. They put all this stuff together. This is the order they do it. Then they go arrest Bryan Kohberger. So, yes, they could have mentioned it in there, like that they did forensic genetic genealogy and it led to him. But it's exactly the same order, though. And that's why it's called a tip, because after they got the tip or the lead from the genetic genealogist, they did all of that work to identify him. What's funny there, Timmy? What's the humor? Was there a joke told up there? Or? No, the car was never the key, Cindy. Man, you sound just like the weirdos on the Clowns channel. I mean, those guys are... That's what he thinks. It was the car, man. It was the car. Those are what the trolls say. Man, that's wild. Let's see. DNA phone location known as unknown video. See, what happens is people that don't know what the hell they're talking about come in and they do the little chuckles because they watch the clowns and the other people putting out absolute garbage that you want to believe, so you believe it. Okay? It's bullshit what they're saying there. Now, they didn't mention how... Well, here's what they did mention on the probable cause. That they got a single source DNA off of the knife sheath. Okay, so then later they mentioned how they tested the DNA, and this is other documents, I guess. So I don't know if that was on the probable cause, but they did mention, I believe, the DNA, the single source DNA on the knife sheath. So anyways, that's exactly what happened in Idaho, where Bryan Kohberger is awaiting trial for the 2022 murder of 4 university students. For months, the state failed to disclose that it had used forensic genetic genealogy to identify Kohberger as a suspect. A probable cause statement methodically laying out the evidence that led cops to the door conspicuously omitted any mention of genetic genealogy. Kohberger's defense team has asked to see documents related to the genealogy work as it prepares for an October trial. But the state has refused, saying the defense has no right to any information about the genetic genealogy it used to crack the case. And so, in some ways it's weird, right? Because it's like, okay, a lead led to Kohberger, and then they clandestinely grabbed something out of a garbage can that proved that it was the biological father of Kohberger, and they had already done all this other background information, like, again, the CAST system, all these different things, information on Kohberger's whereabouts, etc., 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 and boom, Oh, geez, Cindy. Oh, here we go again, Cindy. I already brought that up. You just showed up like now, and you're so paranoid. It's crazy. But you'll be the first to know, Cindy. I swear to God, you'll be the first to know on here. We've already been saying that they're going to try to do the fruit from forbidden tree or whatever the hell you want to call it, for that the DNA shouldn't have been received. Well, I don't know, you disappeared for a while, and I mentioned fruit from a forbidden tree, and you just typed it in as if it was new. So I don't know, Cindy. Let's see. Kohberger's defense team is asked to see documents related to the genealogy work as it prepares for an October trial, but the state has refused, saying the defense has no right. See, it is weird, right? Because what will they do with that? They just want to see how you got it, to see if it was all, did you do it all correctly? It's not to see if it was correct, because guess what, everybody? Bryan Kohberger's buccal swab matched the knife sheath DNA perfectly. So sort of this moot, I want to call it a moot point, but I understand, you know, a defense team wanting to say, hey, you guys access this information against the guidelines of those websites, so you shouldn't have been able to find his DNA match like that, right? Oh, okay, Cindy. Well, I don't, you know, like I said, I can't catch up all your whole conversations. But I was hoping maybe it'd be a good, something to argue about, send me to prison. I'm just kidding. I don't even know what time, when you're trying to send me to jail or not. Let's see. But how do you know it's an invasion of, see, when you say it's an invasion of privacy, I don't know if I agree with that, you know. None of the names are out there at all. See? None of the names of those people get out. It would be an invasion of privacy for, I guess that's what you're saying, for the defense to get a hold of it, right? Like if the defense got a hold of it, that's an invasion of privacy, because they'd call up, hey, did you know that? I mean, it's like, well, dude, your information doesn't mean anything. Thank you, Mecky Techie. Oh, I've already been in prison. Yeah, that's true. The statement, let's see. It would appear that the state is acknowledged. Okay, Kohberger's attorney argued that the state's position is preposterous and keeps them from, even though that's the standard, from ensuring that the work undertaken to find Kohberger was above board. See, that's all they're saying, everybody. They're not even arguing that it wasn't Kohberger. See, that's what's so stupid about these channels out here. You know, they actually think that he's innocent. Even his own attorneys don't really think that. They just want to see if they got the information, if it was above board, but they're not arguing that it matched the DNA sequence on the knife sheath. They're not arguing that. So what's weird is all these people out here that claim, oh, I don't know, man, he's innocent, man. Look at the look on his face. He's smiling. Nobody that is a killer smiles. Did you show that he changed it from a smile in 0.3 seconds? He never holds the smile because they're not real. Did you ever look at that part of it? I didn't think so. Yeah. One of Kohberger's attorneys wrote, the statement by the government implies that the databases searched may be ones that law enforcement is specifically barred from, which explains why they do not want to disclose their method. It would appear that the state is acknowledging that the companies are providing personal information to the state and that those companies and the government would suffer if the public were to realize it. So that's what they're arguing. But that's just the way it's always been. You don't want to put people's names out there that were just in a database. The statement by the government implies that the databases search may be ones that law enforcement is specifically barred. Yeah, maybe. See, maybe ones. A hearing on the issue is scheduled for August 18th. So this is prior to that whole hearing that they had. Natalie Ram, a law professor at the University of Maryland Carey School of Law, an expert in genetic privacy, believes forensic genetic genealogy is a giant fishing expedition that fails the particularity requirement of the Fourth Amendment. See, that's what somebody above said. that law enforcement searches be targeted and based on individualized suspicion. Finding a match to crime scene DNA. But see, what else are you supposed to do here? So we're trying to make it easier for criminals to get away? This is a groundbreaking thing I think it's worth whatever sort of intrusion. Like, I don't know, man. So here's how you solve it, everybody, for the 90th time. People who opt in, thank you. All prisoners that have been in prison, and even ones that have passed away, if you still have their sequence, they get uploaded to GEDmatch, and it's for law enforcement use only. Okay? And they get to include anybody who opted in, but they don't get to include anybody. Get rid of any kind of loophole at all, unless you're law enforcement use, which would include people who opted in, and prisoners. Boom. There is the answer. I mean, it would be a genetically diverse population and geographically diverse all around the country. It would be amazing, and it would work. And that's the shitty part, is that people will be like, I don't know, but they already have their DNA in CODIS, right? You know, why do these people come in here and throw laugh emojis when, I mean, I don't know if they're on rewind or where they're at. It's strange. Thank you, Brutally Honest. And guess what, everybody? What I just told you, that's going to solve all of this nonsense right here. There won't be any of these weird loopholes or anything like that. It'll just be the genealogy CODIS, basically. A whole different, totally different type of DNA in there. And that is the answer. That will solve all of this stuff here. Nobody's going to be, well, I don't know. How come so-and-so's DNA? Well, the thing is you build trees, right? But you don't know if it's illegally. Huh? I think he's guilty. But if evidence was obtained illegally, the people who illegally obtained the information should be criminal. Now, it wasn't. It's not illegally. Right. I don't think anybody should go to jail for, using a loophole or something like that. No, he did. Kohberger's dumb. Okay, so here's the thing: is what he should do is when you say he has the education to solve it, you mean he can just look in the mirror and say, I did it. Yeah. He can't be dumb, Gray. He got a master's degree. Right. Let's see. Ding, 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 ding. Right. I just had to, I thought it was, so that is what I thought it was. Yeah, it's the illegal search and seizure. Yeah, but see, it says unreasonable search and seizure, right? Isn't it reasonable to take DNA from who you know is the killer off of the knife sheath on the bed of two people killed by a knife? Isn't it reasonable to test that into a database? I don't think the Fourth Amendment would include the sort of loophole stuff. That's sort of, that just doesn't seem like that's part of that. I guess let me try to think of an analogy. I don't know. I can't really think of one. Hey, thanks, Mama, for coffee. Oh, and just to say the sex therapist trial, I guess, has been put on hold for a while because somebody had COVID in there, so might be another like 10 days or something. Yeah, I don't know why people show up in here. Listen, you guys. If you're in here and you actually think Kohberger is innocent, you're dumb. All right? I don't mean to offend you, but you're a dumb person. Now, if you don't think you should be in trouble because there's been little, little tricks done or anything, little things that you don't like, and you want him to go walk free, have at it, man. Be happy about that. But if you think he's innocent, you're just absolutely a dumb person. All right? And I'm sorry. Well, here's the thing. Maybe you're not technically dumb. Like, you might have a good job where you do stuff, but you're very naive. Is that a better term for you? Because this is what's going to happen, everybody. Bryan Kohberger will go to trial. And sure, it might be a hung jury because there's going to be idiots like yourselves that are sitting there. Definitely possible that it'll be a hung jury. And by yourselves, I mean the people who think he's innocent. You'll just, no matter what's said, you're going to, oh, what about this? What about that? Because here's the thing is the people that are sitting there listening to clowns who smile or say that a smile means he's not guilty, and you believe that sort of stuff, that means you'll believe anything that the defense attorney says, because you're not going to want him to go to jail, right? So let's go with that. You're not necessarily dumb. You're very naive and gullible. Okay? Now, you might say, well, you're gullible because you believe the probable cause document. Well, guess what? We actually have video that proves the probable cause document, at least on the car driving around, was telling the truth. And I guarantee it that they have it dialed in. Like they got all kinds of more information that they've put in since then. Because that was just the probable cause, something they had to get really quick to get the arrest going. Now they've probably built up this whole thing, and I believe that's the reason for the delay, not the... Now the Kohberger people will say the reason for them waiving the speedy trial was because, wow, this DNA evidence stuff, we got to really we're going to need time to figure out what the origins are of it and everything. And I don't buy it at all. I think that they have gotten discovery that just is absolutely... Why do you think Kohberger admitted he was driving around that night? Because he knows that they have video of his car driving around. That's his car, okay? And like I've said 50,000 times, the clear video from 1112 King Road is going to show that that's a white Elantra, and the timing is going to match perfectly to the 1330 Linda Lane footage. It's going to be absolutely perfect. Every time it drives by, it's going to go back around. And May, thank you so much. You are great, Grant. Okay, well, thanks. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I can't just look at somebody and say they're guilty, but... All right, here we go. While proponents of forensic genetic genealogy say the individuals they're searching have willingly uploaded their genetic information and opted into law enforcement access, Ram and others aren't so sure that's the case when practitioners adhere to terms of service. If the consent is truly informed, and voluntary, then I think that it would be ethical, lawful, permissible for law enforcement to use that DNA to identify those individuals who did the volunteering. Oh, so you're saying, I see. So the people who said, yes, you can use my DNA for law enforcement, their names, they're willingly doing it, so they wouldn't mind if their name was put out there as being part of the, right? But that is not who is being identified in these cases. Instead, it's relatives. Well, see, that's true, right? So when you're building out the database, here, let me show you how this works right here. So they actually use newspapers.com, right? They use this all the time. And so let's just do like I'm just going to go to, hold on a second. Let me just do like a different year. Let's see. 1980 to 1990. Right. So right here, let's say you're trying to fill out your genealogy database, and you have a guy named Richard R. Wood, and you find his, okay, here he is. He died on this day, and you go through this thing, and then right here it says he's survived by his wife Nancy. Well, hell yes, everybody. I can now put, and so let's just say he was somebody to fill out your chart. Like, he's not the guy you're looking for, but his name came up as somebody that's a relative. So you take Richard R. Wood, right? Then right next to him, you put his wife Nancy. Oh, and guess what? Now you have his two daughters, Rebecca and and Robinson of Moorestown, and Ann Wood. You got that one. And then a son, Richard Jr. Right? So now you've got his wife and 3 kids. Boom. And then you might see who their kids are, etc., etc. You see what I'm saying? So you're filling in the family tree with random people that aren't even in these databases whatsoever. Does that make sense? So that would start putting those people's names out. Okay. Not sure if I went out of here or not. For now, RAM said the best way to regulate forensic genetic genealogy is by statute. In 2021, Maryland lawmakers passed a comprehensive law to restrain the practice. It requires police to obtain a warrant before conducting a genetic genealogy search, certifying that the case is an eligible violent felony and that all other reasonable avenues of investigation have failed. And yeah, see, how do you assure that part? And notify the court before gathering DNA evidence to confirm the suspect identified via genetic genealogy is in fact the likely perpetrator. Currently, police use surreptitious method to collect DNA without judicial oversight. Yes, because they threw it away like trash. Meaning a person's garbage, for example, for items expected to contain biological evidence. In the Golden State Killer case, D'Angelo was implicated by DNA on a discarded tissue. The Maryland law also requires police to obtain consent from any third party whose DNA might help solve a crime. Oh wow, so all those other people, jeez, that's ridiculous. You know those people that I just mentioned in that obituary? That means you have to get their consent. That's ridiculous. In a notorious Florida case, police lied to a suspect's parents to get a DNA sample from the mother, telling her they were trying to identify a person found dead whom they believed was her relative. Those methods are barred under Maryland law. Montana and Utah have passed laws let me see that. In a Kohberger case, police searched the parents' garbage collecting trash with DNA on it that the lab believed belonged to Kohberger's father. In a notorious Florida case, police lied to a suspect's parent to get a DNA sample from the mother, telling her they were trying to identify a person found dead whom they believed was her relative. Those methods are barred. Montana and Utah have also passed laws governing forensic genetic genealogy, though neither is as strict as Maryland's. The rise of the direct-to-consumer DNA testing and forensic genetic genealogy raises another issue, the looming reality of a de facto national DNA database that can identify large swaths of U.S. population regardless of whether those individuals have uploaded their genetic information. In 2018, Researchers led by the former chief science officer at MyHeritage predicted that a database of roughly 3 million people could identify nearly 100% of U.S. citizens of European descent. Such a database scale is foreseeable for some third-party websites in the near future. All of a sudden, we have a national DNA database, said Lynch, and we didn't ever have any kind of debate about whether we wanted that in our society. A national database is in private hands, she added. By the time people started worrying about this as a policy issue, it was too late. Moore said during her address at the Ramapo conference, by the time the vast majority of the public learned about genetic genealogy, we'd been quietly building this incredibly powerful tool for human identification behind the scenes, she said. People sort of laughed like, oh, hobbyists, you do your genealogy, you do your adoption, and we are allowed to build this tool without interference. Moore advocated for involving forensic genetic genealogy earlier in the investigation process. Yeah, totally. Why would you want to sit there, if you have a DNA sample from a killer, why would you go spend all this time doing basic work when you have it right there? It's right in front of your face. Skin under the fingernails of a murdered victim. You've got the DNA. Why would you sit there and just to say, oh, we exhausted all other tech? Maryland is stupid, okay? That's such a stupid, the way they worded things. You have to get permission from other people aren't in the database. So how do you build a tree then if you don't, it's idiotic. It's stupid. Well, that case just won't get solved then, everybody. Doesn't surprise me, though. Maryland has a lot of just ridiculous cold cases out there that you just look at and go, really? What? Welcome, Donna Ayers. After the article was published, Margaret Press, founder of the DNA Doe Project, released a statement in response to the Intercept's findings. We have always been committed to abide by the terms of service for the database we use and take our responsibility to our law enforcement and medical examiner partner agencies extremely seriously. In hindsight, it's clear we failed to consider the critically important need for the public to be able to trust that their DNA data will only be shared and used with their permission and under the restrictions they choose. We should have reported these bugs to GEDmatch and stopped using the affected reports until the bugs were fixed. Instead, on that first day when we found that all of the profiles were set up to opt out, I discouraged our team from reporting them at all. I now know I was wrong, and I regret. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, so everybody was opted out, and it's like, well, how do we do what we're doing? So we have to continue to use that loophole. So I think GEDmatch put the DNA Doe Project in a precarious situation by overreacting and opting out everybody. Don't you agree? Let's see. Like GEDmatch opted everybody out because a case that of a violent assault that almost killed a woman, it didn't fit the guidelines of sexual assault or murder. Oh, well, we made a mistake, boy. We better turn all these off. I mean, what a joke. Embarrassing. Yet again. And by the way, I think it's similar to like CCTV, right? People that are so scared about, oh my God, my DNA is going to be in here and somebody's going to... Well, it makes me wonder about you specifically, because who cares? Nothing, if you're not a criminal, nothing's going to be, like for example, the CCTV, somebody is, let's see, when they use CCTV in Europe, they only use it when a crime is committed. Then they go back in time and try to put together the pieces. They don't sit there and look at it all day. Not that you know of, Gray. The big brother. Well, they're over there. I think that's how the rules should be. I mean, I get sort of being paranoid about your DNA and stuff like that, but yeah, I just wish it was, again, guess what solves the whole thing? Putting prisoners' DNA, since they're already giving Dakotas, into GEDmatch for law enforcement use only. Yes, it would cost billions of dollars to start, but it would be totally worth it. I don't even know if it would be billion. I think it would be like $500 million to put every single criminal's DNA into GEDmatch. And I think it would be absolutely worth it. If we can send Ukraine, $200 billion, I think we can spend $500 million on putting criminals' DNA in the system so that we can catch more people and identify more people and give people's names back as well. And guess what? Criminals have a higher propensity to have other criminals in their family. Yeah. Wait before you go. On about how likely is that the story you just read would have been produced by a different news outlet if The Intercept hadn't done it? Yeah, probably not. Oh, whoa. American lady said she won big at the casino. Where? Well, where the hell is Cindy J, man? You guys should be out there together. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Here's what I would do in the Kohberger case. Right now, I would get another lab out there, give them a blind sample. They have no idea what they're doing. They just think they're looking for some random person and see if it leads back to Kohberger.
One big at the casino, great. Time for your hard work. Beating heart.
Huh? I don't agree, CY. I don't know what CYR means. So that's what they need to be doing. I said this about 3 weeks ago. They need to do a blind DNA FGG, forensic genealogy, on the same sequence, and just make it seem like you're a sheriff's office and you want to identify this person and see if it comes back. If it comes back to Bryan Kohberger, have them produce their work product, and there you've got it. Except that's sort of like, see, the defense wants it to be the fruit from a forbidden tree, and it wouldn't matter if you reproduced it or not. But you could say that that's what... See, here's what the FBI can say. It's always been our practice to get rid of our work product because it exposes names of random citizens. Okay, so that's how it's always been. You can't punish us now for doing what's been the generally accepted practice. See, that's their angle, and I totally agree with it. You can't expect us now to show it because the standard has been that the forensic genetic genealogy has not been shown. So if you want to pass laws in the future, you go right ahead, but this case, we're not going to go back in time now. I call it forbidden tree, Elliot. Okay? There's also forbidden tree, right? Or maybe it's a forbidden fruit, or whatever the hell it is. Forbidden fruit from the... Let's see. Hold on a second. Yeah. Okay, yeah, I guess it's supposed to be, I always say fruit. I think it's forbidden fruit, right? Right. Let's see. Right. It must not have been that interesting, Elliot. I mean, not sure what I'm supposed to be. I don't see probably 90% of the comments because I'm actually doing something, right? I don't just stare at the screen reading the comments all night, you know. I would hope that you would rather have somebody trying to present something. Who are you talking to? Am I here? I don't know who you're referring to. You gotta tag people. Okay. Well, probably not. I don't know. I just kind of do my own thing. Like, I like to have my own thoughts on the show. But maybe, you know, if there's some kind of technicality or something like that. How long has the DNA stuff been standard? Huh? It's GEDmatch, not GenMatch. And but they don't share the work product. They usually have it somewhere, all the different I guess what they have usually are the trees out there. Like, you can see the tree that was developed. But what Kohberger's attorneys want is how they got the tree information. You know, what made it so that the, you know, what led to them being able to fill out the tree? Where did they get different things? Huh? Yeah, well, they just normally don't do it. They haven't shared it, but Kohberger's attorney wants them to share it because they heard about the loophole. So now they want to use that as some sort of, you know, even though it's never been shared before, and people just generally are like, yeah, the loophole, schmoophole, right? Yeah, it doesn't matter, Faraday. Yeah, what difference does it make that there's paths there? What difference does it make? I saw those. I walked right by it and I looked at the path and I almost went down there and I go, why the hell would I go down here? It's irrelevant. See, here's the thing, everybody. Kohberger, in his white Elantra, which is suspect vehicle number 1, traveled to the house and stayed in his vehicle until he got out to actually do the killings. No, Elliot. What I said, Elliot, was that everybody in prison should have their DNA uploaded to GEDmatch using the bioinformatics kit so that everybody's in there that's already in prison. Okay? Right. Anyways, so if by some chance they still have the DNA, you know, they have the DNA collected from all these people, then you could just take the sequence and put it in there, or you would just have to swab all the prisoners again that are in there and create the profiles. I've already explained it the way I want to explain it, not any, you know, like, you can come up with your own ideas and all that shit. My idea is to just have, just like every single time there's a unidentified DNA sample, they sequence it, create it into a format that's uploadable to GEDmatch and put it in there. Just do that with all the criminals, and boom. No, it's not, Elliot. It's not. You're incorrect on that. It's totally different. That's CODIS is for having DNA in the system so that you can upload another profile and see if there's a match in there. Okay, that's what that's for. Ah, Jesus. Oh, God. Oh, Jesus. Oh, Jesus. Oh, God. Let me say it again, everybody. Let me do it again. CODIS is a 20 marker system, and each criminal has to upload their DNA into CODIS, and it's in there. And when there's a unidentified DNA sample or something like that, they upload it into CODIS again and see if there's a hit on it. I'm saying, hey, Kathy Jean, no, it's not. Okay, it's not, Kathy. All right, you're incorrect. Both of you are. I know that you like to pretend that people are correct. I'm not saying it for any reason. See, here's the thing. When I do these shows, people don't listen, and they just have their own little talking points in their brains, and they just say whatever the hell they want to say. You're incorrect. I know it's freaky to me. It has nothing to do with putting a DNA sample into CODIS and see if there's a match. What I'm suggesting here, you can still do CODIS all the time, right? CODIS is a system where each criminal puts their DNA into the system, and it allows for, when law enforcement comes in, they upload to another criminal, like if somebody's arrested, their DNA gets uploaded in there. And then unknown rape victims or, DNA from rapes or violent crimes, their unknown people are also uploaded into CODIS to see if there's a match. That has nothing to do with what I'm saying here. That means neither of you were listening to what I'm saying. See, currently, GEDmatch only has 700,000 people in it to create family trees and so forth. So what I would start doing is put in every single criminal into GEDmatch so that there's 3 or 4 million people in there, which would vastly, and it'd be much more genetically diverse and geographically diverse, and it'd have tons and tons of people in there, so that on other people's crimes that aren't related to any of the people that are criminals currently, they might be cousins of somebody, or a distant relative, that's all you're using them for, is to build out the tree and have them in there for law enforcement use only. Do you see how the difference is right there? It's completely unrelated to how CODIS works. It has nothing to do with that. What are you talking about, Kathy Jean? What are you talking about? You just switched topics on me. That's illegal for police to use genealogy databases. No, it's not. It's not. They're able to use GEDmatch and family tree DNA if people have opted in. Okay? So what I'm saying is, to build the database up that they can use, they need to get every prisoner into the system so it's a huge database for law enforcement to use. It's just unbelievable. I don't understand how people don't understand what I'm saying. Why is it confusing? It's CODIS is just 20 markers, takes these certain portions off of a DNA strand that are can be unique in combination. So in each time a certain sequence comes up of letters, you can say, wow, only 1 in 10,000 people have that one. Well, on marker number 2, ooh, shit, this person, there's only 1 in 10,000 that have that. Then you multiply it, you just keep going through that, and that's how you can calculate the odds of, 1 in 75 quadrillion or something. That's how they come up with that. But what it's for is there's a prison, in the prison system and the FBI and all the systems that have CODIS in it. It's just there so that they find a DNA sample from a crime scene in the past. They can upload it there and say, oh, man, that's John Smith over at this other prison over here. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, that's what the guy said. That's what it feels like, is people don't want to listen. They just have their own little thoughts that somebody told them on another place, and they don't listen. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't get it. I don't really understand it. You know. Just listen for 1 second. So what I'm saying, okay, currently, listen to me, you guys. On GEDmatch, there's only 700,000 people that have opted in. So finding relatives and matches is relatively hard because there's so few people in there. Does that make sense to everybody? So what I'm saying is, if you take all the prisoners and put them in there, you'll have millions of people in there to build out your databases, and they're all for law enforcement use. And they also have access to the people who opted in. Law enforcement would. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. It has nothing to do with matching or anything like that. It's just building out the trees, because I'm not even saying that any of the people in prison committed the crime. They've been in there. Let's say they're all in prison, but a crime's committed tomorrow. Okay? Well, them being in there might lead to identifying who that person is. Okay, hopefully I explained it that time where it made a little better sense. It just gets really frustrating for me when I see comments that come back and are completely unrelated to what I was saying. All right? No, it's okay. It's okay, Elliot. I'm just like, when you say something and other people go, oh yeah, Elliot, yeah, and it was wrong because it wasn't related to what I was saying, then it sort of gets frustrating, because then other people start. It's the same shit that happens when you watch a clown give a show and everybody believes the clown, and now that is the true belief of society now because a clown told you so. Oh, look at Bryan Kohberger smiling. He can't be the criminal because somebody who kills doesn't smile like that. Good point, man. That's fantastic sleuthing. Right. Put a 1 if you've seen a killer smile. Jesus Christ. Unbelievable. And hell, I'm in a good mood tonight. You guys are lucky. Let's see. No, well, I mean, maybe 20, maybe, I guess in the future, here's what could be the way, is that there's no more CODIS, and you just upload to GEDmatch, and then if there's a crime and somebody committed it in the past, like they would even take unknown people, law enforcement would, and instead of uploading it to CODIS, they would upload it to GEDmatch as an unknown. And then you would have like, oh my God, this is a complete match to so-and-so. I would actually get rid of CODIS and use a GEDmatch-like service for everybody. But I think I would also have just CODIS there as a backup, You don't want to just sort of give it to a private company. Maybe they should switch it over to, an internal... I don't know. I think you'd almost want it to be third party just to keep it above board. A little better chance of monitoring it. Mm-hmm. So also the clown, he complained because I call it loops here. Okay, he says it's not a loop, it's passes. Okay, well, I mean, the car goes like this and around and then back around and around again and comes back in like this, and then comes back into the area. To me, that's a loop, Now, it's also, you could call it a pass. They do say pass on there. And they say after each pass, guess where they say it went? They said after each pass, it goes on Willanta Drive. Isn't that weird? So they make a pass and they go on the Willanta. Well, I don't think he's jealous. I mean, he's got way more subs, which is scary. I mean, he has like 3 times as more subs, a clown putting out false information. It's weird. It's weird how that works. Kind of supports what I tell you a lot, is that people love sensationalistic garbage. Yeah. Let's see. Did you really? American lady? Holy crap. $1 slot, spent $100 and won $2,500. That's amazing. Good win. Because people send it to me. 8675309. They say, did you see this? And then, and plus he referred to me. That's why I saw that one. He referred to the guy that said loops, you know. Uh-huh. I don't know, but 8675309, can I ask you why you always come in here and like challenge me on what I actually am saying instead of just like, I mean, I don't really understand that. That's like the 4th time you've done that. I'm doing it because I'm told to go see what somebody said. And how about, you know, I mean, I don't want, I don't think people should watch it, but I've got to see what my, well, not always, but you've done it like 3 times lately. Like, oh, well, you know, I don't know. You just did it the other night too, so you're doing it again. I'm not sure what's going on. I don't try to do that to you. Anyways, when somebody tells me to go watch it, I go check it out. I still believe the 4chan. What the hell are you talking about? Let's see. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying the name, so because I'm not really wanting people to look, but I'm just saying the crazy theories that are out there. Okay, well, look, it's read exactly the same. It was read exactly the same, which is weird. Maybe you just don't realize it, or I don't know. Yeah, I like roulette. Where the hell did I put that thing? Shit. I swear I had that in there. Oh, there it is. Yes, so we can watch this again. Okay?
Is that beer in your hand?
There's a little honk. So here we go, everybody. I don't know if you can hear it.
Is that beer? Is that beer in your hand?
Hear the horn there? We're going to do this one again.
Hey, is that beer? What's up? Is that beer in your hand?
Boom. Exact same horn at the correct time. And that pretty much verifies that the camera is legit. And I actually saw the camera sitting there. Okay? And so let me get this out here. I'm going to pull out the... This probable cause actually shows the map shape there. Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, you mentioned that yesterday, Elliot. I'm trying to remember when they started talking about that. Let's see. Um, 412, 417. Yeah, between 4 a.m. and 4:20. Okay, that's what they think. Right. So this is the best way to look at this. Let me open up this with a different software so I can get my. I have to have my music playing.
Hey, is that beer? Is that beer in your hand?
I guess what Jenny's trying to say is that I'm a hypocrite because I watch when people are talking about me on another channel, and yet I tell you guys not to watch it. That's why I don't say their names, but I don't feel like that because I've got to look out for what I'm doing here. You know, it's just absolutely crazy to me that people listen to nonsensical, just because they want to believe something, and they listen to something that doesn't even make sense, or is it logical in any way, and want to, you know, just because they want to believe it. It's weird to me. It's actually a little bit scary. You never know what to do? What do you mean? Oh, you mean the... You're talking about roulette? Yeah. Well, I don't say their names, so I don't really... I don't want people to go watch them. That's the thing. I just want to repeat what's said. Because there's definitely a reference to me here. Mm-hmm. Thanks, K-Me. Mm-hmm. All right. So doesn't this mean something to you guys, though? Just watch this. A review of footage from multiple videos obtained from King Road neighborhood showed multiple sightings of suspect vehicle 1. And that's Bryan Kohberger's vehicle. Because they even followed it all the way to Albertsons later in the day when he got out of the car. Alright? So here it is. Show the multiple sightings of suspect vehicle 1 started at 3:29 a.m. Okay, so now we've got this video open here. And let's move it to... Now look at the time right here. That's right where the car would be, and it was spotted over there just a minute before at A&W that we went to on my live stream. So it's driving down right here. And look at that, 3:29, it enters the area, right? So it comes around. And then, watch this. It comes around the corner, it goes like this, and at 3:29 it enters the area. And then, let me just go back to this document again. And it says it first entered the area at 3:29 a.m. and ended at 4:20. That's exactly right. And guess what? The white Elantra moving behind Queen Road 500 is exactly there at exactly this time frame. All right, so it says these sightings show, listen to this, suspect vehicle 1 makes an initial 3 passes by 112 King Road residents and then leaves via Willanta Drive. So it did it on all 3 of those passes. So they're just talking about when it passes 112 King Road. When I look at the information, it does this loop. As it's passing, it does an entire loop to get back there, okay? Based off of my experience as a patrol officer, this is a residential neighborhood with a very limited number of vehicles that travel in the area during the early morning hours. Upon review of the video, there are only a few cars that enter and exit this area during this time frame. So between 3:29 and 4:20, very few cars even entered the area. Suspect vehicle 1, or Bryan Kohberger's vehicle, since it was spotted at Albertsons with him getting out of it, can be seen entering the area a fourth time at approximately 4:04 a.m. Alright, so the first time it was 3:29. Now watch this. And then it mentions 2 others, but it doesn't give specifics. But here it is. Look at it. What do you think the odds are that another vehicle within the same minute is driving back here? 0. So here comes the white Elantra. You can even, it's the same car on all 4 passes. I've shown you the video where they're all sped up, and then here's the video where it's coming around. I could probably replace some of that with mine now. And then right around 3:31 and 20 seconds or so, it sits here. And I would imagine it sits here for 2 or 3 minutes each time. It might not have. Maybe it does a longer loop out there. We don't really know for sure. And then at 3:34, it drives away. And this is exactly what I showed you guys on when I drove out there. What's coming up here. And I think what I could do is take this video again and then splice in like just little snippets of the car moving, but replace it with me actually, the camera shot out my window. Okay, so it comes around. This is what it did every single time. It takes 4 minutes to get from right here, we all sat here and timed it, all the way around. And so, let's see. And this is the correct way here. That's funny. And I actually do, it took me like the 4th time around, I went, oh yeah, and then I finally went this way. But it could easily be this way. This way, like this, allows you not to stop as you go around. This way is how I have it mapped out. You have to come down here and stop here and then turn. If you just go down to this next one, though, you don't have to stop. You just turn and keep on moving. All right? So see how it comes around. And then we're going to get up to... Man, it's so funny now because we've done this whole thing here. And right here is that crazy 2-height road, I think. Or maybe that's right here. It's right there, yeah. So right there, there's this massive drop-off on the left here. And then when it gets up here, you turn left. And look at this. It's going to be about 4 minutes later. It's going to enter the area again. Now, these other 2 passes aren't mentioned, but I'll just speed it up a little bit here. 3:38. Coming around. I don't think it's relevant what he... It might be what he bought at something at Albertsons might be relevant. We don't know. How would you know? There's no way to have an opinion. And then right here, look at that, 3:39. This is these are 2 of the passes that aren't mentioned. Now, interestingly, the 3rd pass takes 16 minutes or so, and that means he could have sat here for 12 minutes, which is the exact time that he took on the 4th pass. But anyways, at 3:48. Drives around and then enters back in the area at like 3:56 or so. Drives back there. 3:57 it comes by. Same profile. Has the exact same sound. Everything going up the little hill right there. Drives by, and that means he comes out right here just like I showed you guys on my live streams. He comes out. Maybe sits there again for another 3 minutes. And if he did that, though, he's there during the time that the DoorDash driver might have got there. And so maybe he saw that, and when he came back, he wanted to do some extra checking, so he did the little turnaround here and back that way. So anyways, this is the 4th pass. So now this one is actually mentioned here. See? Well, how do we know the middle 2 are really him? Well, just logic, because they said 3 initial passes. And then a 4th. Suspect vehicle 1 can be seen entering the area a 4th time at 4:04 a.m. And it can be seen driving eastbound on King Road, stopping and turning around at 500 Queen Road. It does exactly what... So let me just move it forward to get to 4:04. So here it comes. And I did all this while in the car. You drive down like this. And then right in this area, right over here, it does another 3-point turn, but that's not the 3-point turn that's mentioned. And so right here it dries up and then turns. Then it's going to back up and kind of go up the hill a little bit maybe, and then it goes forward back around the front. See there, you can see it. No, you can't see it because of my stream goal. If I got rid of that. So anyways, it dries back out that way. And now we'll switch cameras and it comes down. There's the 1112 King Road address that has the camera on it. It tries to turn around or park or do something over here. Probably spent 2 or 3 minutes maybe even in that area. We don't really know for sure. Then it comes down here and does a 3-point turn. And this is all mentioned. And this the camera on Queen Road matches the probable cause absolutely perfectly. And since each time it looped, it went on Willanta Drive, doesn't that necessarily mean that it's going up here and therefore it has to come back in and it's making a loop? I mean, it's like it's crazy to not realize that. So here it is at 4:07. It comes back here and it's in a hurry this time, way quicker than the last one. Comes in, and then it's going to park over here at 4:08. And the reason I go over this over and over and over again, because this is it right here. This is it. And it parks. And then around, 4:08 is when I think it probably got there. Then he goes into the house. Well, between 4:08 and 4:20, all 4 of the victims were murdered. Now, people realize that's a problem, so invent stuff like, oh, I heard a scream at 3 in the morning, therefore it must have been them being killed earlier. Yeah, that doesn't really make sense. DoorDash was delivered at 4. So I really doubt that there was murders out in the house when DoorDash was delivered at 4. Well, he's the DoorDash delivery, Gray. Okay, well then that means the murders were at 4. How do you explain your 3 o'clock theory? Well, I can't, Gray, but it was just something I needed to say. Yeah. Yeah, we already did that, Kathy. Yeah, we already did that part, Kathy. Were you paying attention? Yeah, I didn't think so. Why don't you take a break, Kathy? You seem like you're struggling tonight. Let's see. She's probably one of the free gifted ones. Let's see. I think it's about getting attention. Mm-hmm. Here. So by the way, did any of you in here not see my 360-degree video that I made today? I'll show it to you. It was pretty sweet.
That
Right, so here we go. Watch this. Let's see. Yeah, so you can put it on 4K there. Now look how amazing it is when you do this. See? You can look around. You get a total perspective. See how steep that hill is right there? That goes uphill. This is all downhill. You can really see it easily by doing this, right?
immersive feeling.
But while the video is moving, there, you can look around too.
See
like
right
you can go
there,
like this,
that
right?
is the.
It doesn't have to be paused, but you can pause it whenever you feel like pausing it.
Walkway between.
And what's cool is, you can have them walk like this.
Walk 2 apartment buildings.
You can walk like that, or you can be like this.
That you've seen other.
Yeah, you can sit there and look at the house if you want. There's some kind of weird glitch on this version.
Walk
See how the
behind.
building kind of...
That's the road behind.
Well, a minute ago it was
Queen
shaking
Road there.
around. I don't know.
And right now I will be walking down Queen Road.
Isn't that cool?
And you can get a good view of the
There I am.
home there, 1122 King Road. Just
There's
about
the
to walk by 1112
surveillance camera was
King
right
Road.
there on
And
1122
that is
King
where the
1112
surveillance
King
camera
Road.
is that likely picked up.
See how
Bryan
the house is
Kohberger's
shaking
white
like that? That's kind of weird. I
launcher
don't know
as
why
it
it's doing that.
exited and entered
It's a strange
on
thing. It
all
almost looks like
4
a
of the passes it made.
kind of a weird animation.
So again, you could pause it right here and look around.
Yeah, so you can pause it, look around. Now see how high up that road? Like this is looking straight forward. So don't you get a really good perspective of how high that is up there? That's literally like 15 feet up the hill to get up there.
And Kohberger did the 3-point turn where it drove, backed up, and then turned around and came back. So right,
that guy
that's
looks
where
sort of
Kohberger
familiar, like one of
sort
the
of
people.
struggled back here again, but I did.
See how the clouds sort of stay still there?
You know, that house right there actually looks similar to the 1122 King Road address.
Yeah, that house there kind of looks like 1122
Okay.
King Road.
So the best thing to do with these 360-degree cameras is keep them stable and in one position, but I obviously did not do that. So what you could do is just hit pause at any time, like I said. And right now we're walking.
See, pause.
By the
You're going to look straight up in the air.
King Road, where the surveillance camera was. Again. And then now you see 1122 King Road. The memorial there.
Well, one of the things that kind of... the only thing that I really got new out of it, I mean, it was just seeing the... I mean, I wasn't lost or anything the whole time I was there. I knew exactly where I was, other than when I was trying to drive on Willanta Drive. But this whole area I know because I've seen it 1,000 times. But, I didn't realize how steep and hilly and how close everything really is. I mean, it's right next... Everything's so close to each other. Also, let's see. I think the main thing that I got from it, though, was that the killer was absolutely familiar with the Willanta Drive, the loops that went on, and how they got out of there, going on Conestoga and then Palooza Drive. I mean, to get out of there quickly, you'd have to have been familiar. So that makes me believe that on those 11 other trips that he took out there, that it's likely... And I hope, this is what I hope, you guys, is that he didn't turn off his phone on those trips, and they can literally pinpoint where he was using the CAS system as he's driving around on Willanta Drive and out of there on those other times. They didn't bring that up because they didn't need it. But man, if his vehicle is driving around on Willanta Drive and kind of mimicking some of those paths ever, and it's on with his phone on, and they're able to show that, it's really bad. But because whoever did this was absolutely familiar with how to get out of there.
And then in a moment here, I'll be walking behind 500 Queen Road, where the vehicle backwards when it did the 3-point turn.
Yep. So this is where that vehicle was just driving that I just showed you a minute ago.
And another one on Queen and King Road.
No, there was no other cameras. There wasn't another camera
the video was playing
in front of 1122 where we thought.
Dragging on the screen.
Like in front of 1122 King Road, it tries to turn around or something. I think that was just audio that they could hear it trying to do that.
Drag. You can also...
I mean, look out! This is just really steep.
Just pause the video and look.
And that's how steep that is. The camera's held straight up in the air.
Right here and look around. Do whatever you feel like.
And this is where that guy came running out.
It's pretty amazing. It films in like.
But right there, that's the camera right there,
and
right there.
So it's still pretty clear even when and
so that camera right here is the one that filmed. I mean, look at that. That's exactly the. That's actually kind of funny. Even just that angle right there is almost identical to, let's see, like right there. See how that's the wooden fence right there? You can see that all this stuff you can see over there. It's right here. So it would come around just like that car you see there, come around and go up like that. Boom. So. So it's still pretty clear even when it's 360 degree. And yeah, so at this point we're just walking back towards the 1122
What do you mean they made an arrest? The arrest in that case was a long time ago.
Look how
Another person arrested?
You can see it right there.
Oh, in the Bardstown case. No, I didn't see it.
Ridiculously sloped at a 45-degree angle.
Really? I gotta look that
I
up.
walked around that 5 times, so when people go, man, you sound like you're out of breath. Right, because I walked around that 5 times prior. And I did it with a drone, too, and that sucked because the drone footage...
Man, I'm gonna have to go read that one.
I think it's because
What?
I neglected to hit stop
The hell?
recording and just turned off the camera, and it didn't save it correctly.
See that weird little video? I'm not sure what's going on there.
And so here you go. Here's a little parking area.
But anytime you
behind.
can pause it, it doesn't do that anymore. But for some reason, these little parts are moving around. See that? Gray must have edited it. Yeah, because I wanted to edit the satellite dish
And
up
we'll be
there.
coming back to where eventually I parked the car. See, my Subaru's up there. That silver
Hey, we can read your
I
comments,
think that's
Allie
pretty much
Steiner. I can
where
see you right there. You
Kohberger
weren't
would've
blocked.
Parked his car, but I think a little bit more to the right, just past that tree, almost where that white car is right.
Yeah, I mean, people can say they're not convinced that Kohberger did it, but that just means you're naive and gullible. Okay, it's like so obvious. It's I don't know, man. I mean, I guess anything's possible, but I'd be shocked out of my mind if he somehow. I wouldn't be shocked at all if it's a hung jury or something like that, because there's a lot of really dumb people in the world, like Casey Anthony's jury, everything like that. Hello, Zozo!
Right there. I think that makes a better spot.
Yeah, you're totally welcome to have your opinion in here, though. But I'm also going to say what I think of it. You get what I'm saying? Like, you're more than welcome to say, "Wow, I think Kohberger didn't do it, man. There's too much information."
It's a little bit back.
And I'll go, "That's one of the dumbest things I've ever heard in my life," because there's all kinds of information. So, anyways, look at that. Like how now you can. This right here allows you to see everything. Okay, this is where you would. I think he parked right here, with his car facing down this direction, and on the other side of that tree. Let me just go back a little bit. I didn't walk. I think right here, if he parked his car, it could be this one, but I actually think right in that area, even during the summer, it must have been crystal clear where right here you could see that the light was on or off. You could see somebody coming up, but it could have been right there where my car is. And, but look how close everything is. Like 10 feet away, 15 feet away. But you can see how you can't get up on that porch there. That's like 10 or 15 feet out the ground. You'd have to use like a grappling hook or something.
We see in the Madison's room, just at the top of where it starts to straighten out to go down.
There you go. Well, hopefully that helped you guys. Let me see. How many views does that video have now? It has 9,400. That sucks. Should have 1 million. Anyways, let's take a look at this really quick to change topics really fast. What's going on here? Arrest in Crystal Rogers case. So what in the hell? A man has been arrested in connection with the death of Crystal Rogers. According to WDRB, Joseph Lawson has been arrested and charged with criminal conspiracy to commit murder and tampering. How the hell is this guy? Who the hell is he? I mean, is he related to the Stauks somehow? And they're arresting him so that they'll turn on them? Or what? Who is this guy? He pleaded not guilty in court Thursday, and his bond was set at $500,000. The indictment is the first in the case involving her murder. Rogers disappeared in 2015, and her body was found. This is crazy. And for those of you out there, why are you talking about this? Because we've covered tons of cases, and this is one of the ones we covered a lot. And at this moment, it's more important than Bryan Kohberger. Okay? I can just tell you that right now. The indictment says Lawson agreed to aid one or more persons. Can I get a boom? This is going to lead to the downfall. Right here. When I saw the conspiracy up here, that means you have to have other people to conspire with. And that's going to be the Hawks. Oh, this is great. Man, this is awesome. They found... And what he'll get is a really light sentence. Because he's going to take down the... It's going to be like the Brightigan case, right? They got the one guy to roll on the rest of them. Boom! Shakalaka! Man, that's awesome. Man, I almost feel like I'm going to try to talk to Mrs. I think it was... I can't remember her first name, but Mrs. Rogers. Rogers just disappeared. No, that's not her. What's the mom's name? I don't think it's Rogers. What's her name? I'll get it. Hold on a second. Oh yeah, Sherry Ballard. That's right. That's why I remember it wasn't Rogers. Man, that's awesome. It's Sherry Ballard. Yeah. Let's see. The maximum sentence for the conspiracy charge is 10 to 20 years in prison. So that would give him. Hey, we'll give you 10 or less. The maximum charge. So Rogers was last seen with her then boyfriend Brooks Houck. I don't think they spelled that right. Until now, he has been the only suspect ever named. Really? Jesus. Teacher has pleaded guilty of a student younger than 16. Yeah, Jesus. Throw the book at her. That's crazy, you guys. Let's see. An arrest has been made in Crystal Rogers' disappearance. Joseph Lawson. Hey, let's look this guy up. Ding 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 diddle ding 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 diddle ding ding. Joseph Lawson. Is he from Bardstown? Was he ever a name that was talked about? How old is he? 32? I don't see him in here. Is he not from there? Documents do not mention Crystal Rogers by name, but that the indictment is in connection to a crime in Bardstown that happened around July 3rd, 2015. That is the last time she was seen at the Bardstown farm owned by her boyfriend. Wave News reached out to the family member and Lawson lawyer, who both said his arrest is connected to Rogers' case. Police named Houck a suspect in Rogers' disappearance but has not been charged. Lawson appeared in court on Thursday and pleaded not guilty. About this one. Nelson County. Or let me try this again. Bardstown in there. Oh wait, 31, 32. Franklin. There's two different Joseph Lawsons. Or there's three of them that are 32 years old. But they're all born in January. What are the odds of that? Huh. Well, that's absolutely incredible. That's one of those long time ones that we've wanted to get solved. It's one I forget to mention when that people say, what case do you want solved the most? It's right up there. Yeah. We're talking about the Crystal Rogers right now, Allie Steiner. You should look the case up. It's very good news. Yeah. Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, this is a crazy case where Crystal Rogers, you know, her boyfriend at the time, I guess the father of I think he's the father of some of their children. I don't remember if it was all of them. Now there's some stuff I don't remember right now. But anyways, she just disappeared one day, and her car was found out on a highway, and she just disappeared, and it seemed likely that the Houck brothers had something to do with it. They did have these interrogation videos where they're just really sketchy shit going on. But it just kind of went nowhere for a long time, and then her father would always he was really looking into it, had a whole box filled with information. I mean, he was like an investigator, and he was out hunting with his like grandson or something, I think it was, and he got shot, like a sniper basically shot him and took him out. And I think that's obviously related to this case too. So, I mean, that happened. There was also a couple other murders, kind of strange scenarios with a police officer, etc. Awesome. Well, you guys, I think that's going to do it for me tonight. We'll have to check this one out. Oh, yeah, Coker would be one. Yeah, those are also ones. Yeah, Coker and Barraza. Barraza's the crazy one. Remember that one video we did with, that show was awesome. When they had the surveillance cameras underneath her own door, and just, we lined it all up. It was so accurate. But man, they still haven't made an arrest in that one. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, thank you to Mag earlier, and then Imagine, new member, Tito, Eugenie, Don G, SSP 134 Georgia, Just Junie, another old GHI freak, Georgina Stoliker, Mag, another old GHI freak, Travel Cato, Nicole B, Mecky, Techie, Lisa L with a cat eye, Michelle, Kami, Mecky Techie, Brutally Honest, Mama for Coffee, Mecky Techie, Donna Ayers, Kami, and I think I missed, hold on. Well, wait, I don't see it. I don't see the, maybe I need to refresh. I don't see the one from American Lady, but I mean, I think we all saw it. Let me see if it pops in there. Huh. Well, anyways, American Lady had a double cat eye. It just doesn't show up on this screen, but it looks like it shows up on the total. Anyways, thank you guys for being here. Wait, who are you? Rowing now, so far, so fucking. Who are you? Who are you? Who were you? What was your name before? I think I have it in here. Hold on. Hold on. I gotta start it up again. Yeah, but who were you before? I swear to God, it's cusses in that thing. That's what I think. Uh-oh, hold on. Okay. Looked like that might have worked. Who knows? Then I gotta open up the Stream Deck. Yeah, but where'd you come from? Who are you? Let's see. Ding, 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 ding. Maybe. I'm so tired. You guys always want me to do the flyovers when I'm just dead beat. Tired as hell. Come on. Well, it is running. Oh, I guess it isn't. God darn it. I'm trying to open up my voice mod. Maybe I'll do one though. Maybe it'll... Man, it's just so slow. Something happened with the connection of Stream Deck and the voice mod for some reason. What it is, I don't know. Alright, will it work this time? Is it going to do it? Is it going to do it? Oh, there we go. There we go. Maybe I'll use that for the flyby. What do you think of that? Although I do kind of like the flyby music. Maybe we'll do one lap of this one. Although it doesn't stop. This will go on forever. Okinawa. I know, it doesn't say Okinawa.
Yeah. Oh yeah yeah. Oh yeah yeah. Oh yeah yeah. Oh yeah yeah. No. 8675309 knows it says effin'. There's an F word in it. I know she knows it.
Alright, I'm going to do the other one. It doesn't give me the same excitement.
Hey, William, how's it going? All right, everybody, boy, that was awesome.
I thought it was bitchin'. You normally say, that was bitchin'.
I was bitchin'.
Oh, yeah, that wasn't that great. All right, everybody. Thank you all for watching and helping support the channel. Allows us to do the stuff that we were doing on the previous show, where we have 13 DNA cases. Now, if that isn't making a difference, I don't know what is. All right, you guys. So thank you all for allowing this channel to be able to do that. It's awesome. And we'll see you guys tomorrow. Make sure to, if you can go out and share that 360-degree video. I'd appreciate it. And if you're out there and, you know, I mean, the thing is, anybody can say whatever they want to say if you think somebody's guilty or not guilty. But you also have to realize that people are going to say back maybe what you don't want to hear, when we've actually gone through the Kohberger case rationally and methodically, where it's to the point where it's almost annoying when people go, I'm just not certain. Well, how come? Let me ask you this. The reason, if you look in a mirror, that you're not certain is because you've likely sat around and watched you probably were on a Facebook group, or you watched absolute garbage, but you somehow weren't able to discern how bogus it is. I mean, the argument's made. Somebody's smiling, therefore they're not a killer. I mean, what a joke, okay? So thank you very much for being here. We'll see you tomorrow. And, as I always say, everybody,
Until next time, be safe out there. And that's it. That's all you got.
Good night, everybody. What the hell was that, Gray?
Well, I was trying to keep you from talking.
Good night, everybody. Jay.
Well, you got it in anyways, didn't you? All right, see you guys later.